Welcome to The Explainer. So let's just jump right into it. Have you ever stood in an aisle just staring at a price tag and wondered, why exactly does it cost this much? Well, today we are decoding the everyday mysteries of pricing. We're going to uncover the hidden playbook that businesses use to decide exactly what you pay.
You know, pricing is often thought of as just simple math, like costs plus a little bit of profit margin, right? But it's actually so much more than that. As Netflix CEO Reed Hastings famously put it, price is all relative to value. It's entirely about perceived worth. And honestly, that is the real secret sauce of business. To really unpack how this works in the real world, we're pulling back the curtain on how businesses truly operate, and we're looking at an incredibly authoritative source to do it. We are exploring Chapter 11 of the book Marketing Management, 17th edition, by Philip Kotler and his co-authors. This specific chapter, titled Managing Pricing and Sales Promotion, is basically the academic master playbook for corporate pricing strategies. Okay, here's a quick roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with 1, the power of price. Then 2, the psychology of pricing. From there, 3, strategies for setting prices. 4, adapting and changing prices. 5, promotions and incentives. And we'll wrap it all up with 6, key takeaways. All right, section 1, the power of price. Let's talk about the fundamental business reality of what a price actually represents.
Check out the single, incredibly powerful fact from Kotler's book. Price is the absolutely only element of the marketing mix that actually produces revenue. Every single other element, developing the product, advertising, distribution, all of those just produce costs. So prices are literally the lifeblood of a business, and we interact with them constantly. They show up everywhere in our lives as rent, tuition, fares, tolls, and fees.
For basically all of human history, prices were set by face-to-face bargaining between buyers and sellers. But man, look at how technology has changed the game. Today, the internet lets us make instant price comparisons, but sellers have evolved too, right? They now use algorithms to monitor market demand and adjust prices in real time. A perfect everyday example of this is Uber's surge pricing. I mean, we've all felt the pinch of an automatically higher fare right after a concert or during a rainstorm. Which brings us to section 2, the psychology of pricing. Let's look at how our human brains actively process and perceive these price tags.
So why is almost everything priced at $2.99 instead of just an even $300? Well, consumers actually tend to process prices from left to right rather than rounding up. Our brains immediately categorize $299 as being in the $200 range. It just feels significantly cheaper. But, and the textbook explicitly warns about this, there's a catch. Because a price ending in a 9 subtly suggests a bargain or a discount, luxury brands will deliberately avoid these odd endings. They need to protect that high-end image.
And that brilliantly illustrates this next concept, image pricing. This is the deliberate practice of setting prices higher, specifically to make an offering seem more valuable in the eyes of the consumer. It is incredibly effective for ego-sensitive products. Think expensive perfumes, luxury cars, or designer clothing. Since consumers rarely have all the technical information about a product's true quality, the high price itself acts as a signal of premium quality. The exclusivity and scarcity basically justify the massive price tag.
Let's move on to section 3, strategies for setting prices. We're shifting from consumer psychology to the exact boardroom strategies companies use to determine that final number.
You know, the clearer a firm's objective is, the easier it is to set a price. Kotler lays out 4 main pricing objectives here. First is current profit, where companies just want to maximize their short-term cash flow. Second is market penetration. Companies like Texas Instruments are famous for this, where they price extremely low to win a massive share of the market. Third is market skimming. This is when you unveil a brand new technology and price it sky high initially to just skim the cream from wealthy early adopters. And finally, quality leadership, where you charge high prices specifically to fund intense research and development to maintain a totally superior product. Once that objective is set, companies often use price discrimination to maximize their returns. So first-degree discrimination charges based on individual demand intensity. Second-degree offers volume discounts. You pay less per unit if you buy in bulk. But third-degree discrimination is fascinating because you literally see it every single day. This is segmenting by location or channel. For instance, think about how a Coca-Cola carries a drastically different price tag depending on whether you get it from a vending machine, a fast food joint, or a fine dining restaurant, even though it's the exact same drink. Section 4, adapting and changing prices.
Let's shift to how companies tweak prices within their larger product ecosystem. Companies don't just price products in a vacuum. They look at the whole product mix. Two really cool tricks stand out from the source material here. First up, loss leader pricing. Supermarkets will deliberately drop the price on well-known brands, sometimes taking a literal loss on them, just to stimulate foot traffic into the store, knowing you are absolutely going to buy other, profitable items while you're wandering the aisles. Second is optional feature pricing. Ever wonder why a restaurant's food might seem totally reasonable, but the drinks are just crazy expensive? The food revenue basically just covers costs, but the highly marked up beverages, that's what produces the actual profit. Honestly, it perfectly explains why your server is so enthusiastic when asking if you want another $8 iced tea. So the takeaway here is that changing an established price is a very delicate balancing act. If a company cuts prices, maybe they just need to clear out excess capacity. They risk accidentally signaling to consumers that their product quality is low. But raising prices is just as dangerous. Companies often have to raise prices due to cost inflation, and sometimes they even do it in advance of expected inflation, a practice called anticipatory pricing. But they have to communicate these increases really clearly. Otherwise, they risk angering loyal buyers and coming off like greedy price gougers. Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, promotions and incentives. Let's talk about those short-term sales promotion tactics that bombard us on a daily basis. How do companies incentivize us to buy something right this second? Well, they generally use two broad approaches. A push strategy is when a manufacturer uses their sales force and trade money to essentially push the product onto store shelves by convincing retailers to carry it. On the flip side, a pull strategy uses heavy advertising directed right at you, the consumer, persuading you to pull the product through the channel by actually demanding it at the store. But there is a massive danger hidden in all these promotions. The textbook issues a really clear warning about this. Continuous discounts can absolutely destroy long-run profits. If you put things on sale too often, retailers engage in something called forward buying, meaning they just hoard inventory at the cheap deal price. And even worse, you train consumers to just wait for the next sale. Some product categories literally end up self-destructing because they are perpetually on sale. We have covered some incredible ground today. Let's move into Section 6, Key Takeaways, to distill this all down. Look, if you take just one framework away from this entire explainer of Kotler's textbook, let it be these 3 golden rules of price setting. First, your costs set the absolute floor. That's the bare minimum price you can charge. Second, your competitors' prices provide an orienting point, giving you direction in the broader market. And third, the customer's assessment of your unique value establishes the absolute ceiling. Your final price has to land perfectly within that space. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. Think about your last major purchase. Which of these pricing strategies actually made you click buy? Was it a cleverly placed left-to-right processing trick like $2.99? Was it the allure of image pricing? Or maybe a carefully timed pull strategy discount? Once you start looking at the world through this academic lens, you start to see the playbook everywhere. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep learning.